As far back as I can remember, I always wanted to be a YouTuber.
I know I'd go from rags to riches.
Seeing how the latest film from Martin Scorcese, The Irishman, is coming out soon, I thought it would be a good idea to revisit one of my favorite films of all time, Goodfellas. Goodfellas certainly wasn't the first Italian-American gangster movie classic, but it was able to revitalize the genre by putting a different spin on what came before it, and inspire the next wave of mafia stories. Scorsese was able to take the classic notion of what it is to be a gangster and flip it on its head, through the perspective of Henry Hill.
As far back as I can remember, I always wanted to be a gangster.
When the film opens up, we are introduced to the brutal reality of what it is to be a part of this life. No context, just three characters we have yet to meet, brutally murdering another character. That's it. And then we are transported back in time to a young Henry Hill, accompanied by the voice of Ray Liotta, as a young Henry looks in awe and waxes poetic about what he perceives to be the perfect lifestyle. Respect, fear, money, everything that comes with the life of a gangster, and all the things Henry strives to obtain. While it may seem like an appealing lifestyle for a young man, we still haven't forgotten that opening scene. Scorsese does a wonderful job of portraying the illusion of want. Henry wants to be a gangster, and all that he perceives comes with it. The first act of the film shows how our main characters benefit from the luxurious lifestyle of being a gangster. The audience, like Henry, are shielded from the horrors of being a gangster, and only view this way of life as something we wish we could be a part of. But this is a cautionary tale. Scorsese takes a similar approach in The Wolf of Wall Street. Like Henry, Jordan Belfort is enamored with success and will stop at nothing to obtain it. And it's easy for the audience to fall into the same trap as Henry and Jordan. The wealth, the girls, success, respect, hitting you in the face and blinding you from what's underneath it. But both stories end in failure and disgrace, as the thinly veiled look at success is ripped away and reality sets in. And this is what Goodfellas does best. It shows the true horrors of the gangster way of life. Movies like The Godfather present the mafia as a well-organized lifestyle built on respect, loyalty, and trust. Family and friends reign supreme, and the family takes action only when it has to. It's not personal, it's strictly business. The Godfather certainly has moments of darkness and brutality, but it's presented in a way that sustains its structure. A young Henry Hill sees the mafia through rose-colored glasses. The soundtrack of 1950s music conveys class and prestige, and everyone is dressed the part, wearing tailored suits and showing respect to each other. But this is all a lie. In fact, the first lesson he learns about not ratting on your friends is nothing but an illusion.
Look at me. Never rat on your friends, and always keep your mouth shut.
There are no friends. There is no forgiveness. The same friend you're not supposed to rat on will kill you if they think their freedom is in danger. As Henry's perspective starts to change, so does the audience's. The soundtrack First introduced to Jimmy, he's viewed as a charismatic, well-respected member of the crew. Flashing his wealth, he generously tips everybody he encounters at the bar, and serves as a trusted ally to the always cautious head of the Cicero crew, Paulie. It is Paulie that introduces Henry to Jimmy, and Henry reveals that Jimmy serves as a hitman for the crew. But the writing is on the wall. It's right in front of Henry's face, but he refuses to accept it. His naivety blinds him from the harsh realities of being in the mafia. Tommy, on the other hand, is much less reserved than Jimmy, and less stable, to put it mildly. He is quick-tempered, aggressive, and unpredictable. He can be funny one moment, then ruthless the next. It's no secret that Tommy is a bad guy, but yet again his faults are brushed over. Tommy is a class clown. It doesn't matter if he roughs up and disrespects some random nobody because he's entertaining. And this is what separates them from the rest of the schmucks working 9-to-5 jobs, leading their miserable lives. This is what it takes to break free from the norm and become somebody important, or at least perceived importance.
You're a funny guy.
That's it, Henry. That's it, Henry.
Scorsese again does a wonderful job of portraying these morally corrupt characters as people the audience can root for. They are tremendously written and well-developed characters, making the audience hate to love them. How the audience perceives these aspects of the film is mostly filtered through the perspective of Henry Hill's girlfriend, Karen. Henry sweeps Karen off her feet by showing off his connections to the highest degree, skipping the line at a crowded club, tipping the workers $20 bills, getting the best seat in the house, and having a bottle of wine brought to them before they're even able to settle in.
Sorry. Henry, this is what Mr. told me over there.
When Henry gives her a gun to hide, she realizes that it's wrong, but she is too drawn into this way of life. She even reflects later in the film how she rationalizes it.
It got to where I was even proud that I had the kind of husband who was willing to go out and risk his neck just to get us the little extras.
She is proud to have a husband that puts his life on the line to give their family a little extra while everyone else is just sitting around. Guys like Henry are just blue-collar guys trying to make it in the world. What's so wrong with that? There are a few moments in the film where I feel Henry begins to truly understand the reality of the life he leads. One instance is when Henry, Jimmy, and Tommy are at Henry's club celebrating the prison release of made man Billy Batts. The celebration quickly turns contentious when Billy disrespects the quick-tempered Tommy.
Now go home and get your fucking shine box.
Motherfucking mutt! You fucking piece of shit!
Tommy and Jimmy brutally murder Batts in front of Henry. The look of shock on Henry's face is apparent. He is the only one of the three to convey any reaction over the murder. Tommy is more concerned with the mess he made on Henry's floor rather than the man he just murdered in cold blood.
Everybody get blood on your floor.
Sure, Henry has most definitely heard stories of the deeds committed by both Tommy and Jimmy, but it's something entirely different to witness it firsthand. Scorsese makes it a point to note the disparity between the mobsters after this event. At Tommy's mother's house, Henry can barely speak or eat, while Tommy and Jimmy are acting like nothing ever happened. They even go as far as joking about the man they just had murdered.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Looks like somebody we know.
Me without the beard. No, it's him.
We then again witness the film's opening scene, now with more context as how the situation occurred. It's clever how Scorsese starts the film with this scene along with Henry's voiceover about wanting to be a gangster and all the good that comes with it, only to show later in the film how troubled Henry is about the murder. Henry is no longer looking at the gangster life through these rose-colored glasses. The illusion is starting to disappear. Another instance when we see Henry express dismay is when Tommy shoots Spider in the foot. When Spider is first shot in the foot, it is Henry that immediately rushes to try to help him. This is very reminiscent of an earlier scene in the film when a young Henry asks to help a random man who was wounded on the street, much to the disapproval of the members of the crew. In the next scene, we see the toll Henry's lifestyle has put on his marriage with Karen. It is clear that our initial impression of Henry's way of life wasn't what it seems, and Henry's attempt at balancing both his professional and family life is proving to be difficult, if not impossible. Then we are back to the crew playing cards. Spider's foot is bandaged, but he decides to show some pride and attempts to stand up for himself.
Tell the truth, you're looking for sympathy. Is that it, sweetie?
Why don't you go fuck yourself, Tommy?
I respect for this. He's got a lot of fucking
A
balls.
psychopath such as Tommy cannot let this go unpunished. Not only was he disrespected by somebody underneath him, but it was in front of his friends. The reaction from our three main characters is very telling. Henry is the first to run over to Spider's body, and a look of shock returns to his face.
Dead.
He may see himself in Spider, a young kid doing favors for the crew, trying to work his way up in the mob. In fact, the same music playing in the background of this scene is the same one playing when Henry helps the man at the pizza shop.
Can't have that in here. Jesus Christ, I can't have that in this joint.
I remember feeling bad about the guy, but I also remember feeling that maybe Tootie was right.
How's that, all right?
What's the fucking matter with you?
What is
the fucking matter with you? What are you, stupid or what?
Tommy's reaction is one that we would expect. After all, it was a good shot.
Good shot. What do you want from me? Good shot.
And Jimmy is more concerned with disposing of the body than he is the actual murder that took place.
Now you're gonna dig the fucking thing up. You're gonna dig the hole. You're gonna do it. I got no fucking lime. You're gonna do it.
Fuck kids. I'll dig the fucking hole. I don't give a fuck. Where are the shovels?
Henry has now experienced the first-hand brutality of his fellow comrades, but is yet to be personally affected by those that are close to him. When Henry is sent to prison, he learns firsthand how things change when you're out of commission. His family is left alone with no one to help on the outside. People that owe him money won't pay his wife, and Paulie won't help because he's looking out for his own best interests.
That's what happens when you go away. I've told you that we're on our own. Forget everybody else. Forget Paulie.
Henry is now forced to fend for himself. This leads him to start selling drugs to provide for his family, a decision that will lead to his downfall. But things are looking good for our characters at this point. Henry is out of jail, and his Pittsburgh connections have been doing so well that he's able to get Tommy and Jimmy involved, much to the disapproval of Paulie, and they are about to embark on the largest U.S. cash robbery of all time.
It looks like a big one, maybe the biggest this town has ever seen.
Jimmy's crew gets away with $6 million, a nice payout for the men involved, right? After all, friends and family are the most important thing in this life. The people that are supposed to have your back, the people you shouldn't rat on. But instead of paying the crew their fair share, Jimmy kills every member, sparing only Henry and Tommy in one of the film's greatest scenes.
Jimmy was cutting every link between himself and the robbery, but it had nothing to do with me.
Sure, a few guys made some missteps that threatened the operation, but Henry says that Jimmy would have done this anyway, so he didn't have to share the profits.
I knew Jimmy. He had the cash. It was his. I know he kicked some money upstairs to Paulie, but that was it.
This is Jimmy's nature. He will have no hesitation to dispose of anyone he perceives as a threat to his profits or his freedom. Sure, Henry was spared this time because he knows better than to convey any sense that he may be a problem, but he soon becomes expendable just like anyone else. Shortly after, Tommy is whacked for killing Billy Batts. Tommy was Jimmy's way to get as close to being a made man as possible for someone with Irish heritage. This is the first time we see any emotion from Jimmy. Sure, Jimmy was close to Tommy and could even be seen as a father figure for both Tommy and Henry, but the financial and structural implications of Tommy's death is what hits Jimmy the hardest. Meanwhile, Henry's cocaine operation has grown large enough to attract the attention of the feds. Henry's mental state is spiraling out of control. Addicted to drugs and growing increasingly paranoid, Henry is arrested. Quick side note here, Lois is the absolute worst. I know he still would have gotten arrested since they have months of evidence, but still, a fucking hat? Fuck your hat. Henry is again alone, but this time there is no light at the end of the tunnel. Karen flushed all the remaining drugs during the raid, effectively leaving them broke. Paulie then turns his back on Henry for dealing drugs behind his back, and Jimmy is more worried about what this means for him rather than Henry's well-being. Jimmy can't risk Henry telling Paulie that he was involved as well as the police. Because of this, Jimmy resorts to what he does best, and plans to kill his friend.
That's when I knew I would never have come back from Florida alive.
The notion of family and friends is ripped away, and Henry is stuck with the reality of this selfish world. Once you lose your value, you are useless, just another nobody that is expendable. There are no friends in this way of life, only business associates. The concept of never ratting on your friends is only in place to protect those on top, yet when the tables turn, you mean nothing to them. Henry finds out the hard way that the life he so desperately coveted is built on a lie, a life based around family, respect, and honor, all which prove to be meaningless. Henry has two options, rat or die, and he chooses the former. By doing so, he becomes a regular nobody, but he is safe. He still longs for the life as a gangster even after that life destroyed him and his family, yet it's the only life he has ever known. His illusion of what it meant to be free leaves him shackled.
Hey guys, thank you for watching this video, and of course we would like to thank our Patreon supporters. Without you guys, Nerd Soup wouldn't be Nerd Soup. Seriously, your support is what keeps the fridge full, so thank you once again for your support. If you are interested in supporting Nerd Soup through Patreon, visit our page and check out the different rewards we offer to our fans. If not, then no problem. We appreciate anyone who takes time from their day to watch our videos. So thank you to each and every one of you out there watching, and remember to like and share this video. And hit the subscribe button if you want to see more videos like it. Or don't.